Love and light, everyone. Thank you for being here today and sharing my messages. I've been in practice for over 30 years working with altered states of consciousness, and my resume is on my websites. With this film, I'm going to briefly explain to you the way I work and what I've learned through my journey working with hundreds of clients healing people. Person-centered free association therapy. By using altered states of consciousness, we move closer into the spiritual dimension. Animals, like humans, also move through the altered states of consciousness into sleep. Sometimes when I watch my dog sleeping, her legs are running and she's chasing or being chased or whatever within the altered states of consciousness. We give many different names to the process of altered states of consciousness: hypnosis, meditation, mindfulness, and of course not forgetting all that external stimulus from medications and drugs. We all pass through relaxation into sleep, albeit some move into sleep as soon as the head touches the pillow, and many people can't sleep or even relax because of anxiety. The following process of hypnoanalysis using person-centered free association therapy can solve problems which people have experienced for many years, often visiting many therapists and doctors with no solution. In fact, the client's symptoms and fixations have often been reinforced. Why? Because most therapies and medications treat the symptoms and don't find their cause. And even if you cure a problem, if you haven't found the cause, the symptom will transfer. It's like a leaking roof. You may repair the damp spot on your ceiling, but if you don't fix the roof tile, the water will find another way in. I believe it's important for people to understand what's happening to them and why and how we become stuck in negative, repeating daily patterns of feelings and emotions. To help people to understand the mechanisms of unconscious conditioned responses, I tell them about a client who had a phobic reaction to birds. A client tells me they have a phobia of birds. They explain that their friend had a pet budgie and that every time they visit a friend's house they experience a panic attack. A rash comes all over the skin. They even tell me they know when and why this problem began. When they were a baby, in the pram, a big bird flew into the face, which was a terrifying experience. I then explain about the unconscious computer which we all have. A computer which doesn't think or reason and is programmed to work the thousands of physical functions in our body which we don't have time to think about. And this computer works 24/7 and it never takes a break. This example helps spiritually minded and non-spiritually minded people to understand our psychological mechanisms and how they can become keyed in and affect us. We can see from the latter phobic example that a part of ourselves which is lost and we do not understand can become something we do understand and is found. Soul retrieval, the repairing of a fragmentation within the psyche which returns a part of an individual or group collective to its original positive functioning state. Before I continue, we need to understand that when working with therapies, the human species tends to divide and conflict. We have Jungians, Freudians, Rogerians, cognitive behavioural therapies, spiritual therapies, and many other names and classifications for the treatment of the human psyche, to the extent that often each individual group will believe that their way is the only way. For myself, all the different therapies are like the pieces of a jigsaw, which all fit together within one final image: holistic. If you use therapies which treat the symptoms, leaving unresolved trauma, transference is likely to occur. For instance, an individual with a stammer returns thanking you for your help, but now they have a compulsion to keep washing their hands. Or an individual who had depression returns to thank you, but now they have an alcohol, gambling, or another such addiction. Always remember that each person needs to resolve their own issues, and that even if repressed or in denial, they hold the keys for their own realizations. It's about facilitating self-actualization. I have a snow dome on a table and often shake it as an example of how our thoughts and feelings can become reprogrammed. Rising to settle, offering different perspectives, person-centered and mental, psychic and spiritual empathy and congruence are essential. It's important to understand an individual's perspective. It's important for them to understand and explore the feelings, emotions, perceptions and experiences. Hypnoanalysis using free association is simply taking person-centered counselling into a deeper level which can release repressed trauma very quickly and affect unconscious conditioned responses, and I'm relating to hours instead of weeks, months and often years, and even lifetimes of medication. When someone says, I know this sounds silly, but they're moving into areas previously repressed because of not fitting in with social constructs. Often a person will say to me, this is amazing. I've never been able to talk like this to anyone before in my life. Trauma may be instantaneous or through days or years of abuse. And if, for instance, a child is beaten by a parent, the unconscious computer, which doesn't think or reason, is likely to attract the same conditions through future relationships. Ambivalence, like attracts like, can't live with, can't live without. The scan of the unconscious mind, person-centered psychic surgery. I read a relaxing script while playing sounds of the sea waves, brushing the sand, or music. We occupy the conscious mind, which allows the unconscious part of our mind to become closer. Like a pool of water, filled with ripples, becoming like a glass mirror which reflects all inner realizations, reprogramming the unconscious computer, invoking inner realizations which are often life-changing. During altered states of consciousness, you are not asleep. We are moving into the semi-unconsciousness which we experience every time we go to sleep, and also pass through when we awake. The altered states of consciousness window brings us into attunement with the unconscious mechanisms which sustain us, keeping us alive and in material existence. While experiencing this window of relaxation, there is a heightened sense of awareness. The method I use for releasing trauma is free association, being person-centered. While the client is relaxing, I ask them to simply let the mind drift, just like a bubble from the pool of reflection, until a bubble pops on a memory, so that what you saw then you see now, and what you felt then you feel now. The memory recall could be yesterday or any time from the past. Repeat this recall for 10 to 15 times per session and have some tissues ready. I find this method of free association extremely effective, and also use the same method for past life recall. The following example is from a case history in 1991. There was a male taking an exam where verbal communication was important, but he had a terrible stammer. We used regression therapy through free association and regressed to a time when as a child he experienced psychosomatic trauma. through his parents' separation causing indecision, which took away his control of speech. He re-experienced the traumatic moments, which released his trauma, catharsis. The issues were resolved in 2 sessions and he passed his exam. Soul retrieval, the reparation, repairing of a fragmentation within the psyche which returns a part of an individual or group collective to its original positive functioning state. My induction script is included within my course, which I've adapted over 30 years. My person-centered free association therapy course is for 3 hours and is for practicing therapists. It also includes a certificate of attendance. The details of this course are included on my website. I hope you've found this film from a series helpful. Thank you.